All right, everybody. Now it's time to talk. All right, everyone. I can't wait to talk to Francesco today from Keep Productive. Isn't that awesome? Give it about applause here. Because, I mean, if you're on YouTube, if you're looking for productivity, you certainly came across his channel. He knows all the apps that you can get when it comes to productivity. He also does awesome interviews with CEOs, as you see on my channel. And now I have him on the show. And it's awesome. I can't wait to dig into, discussing the interviews we had with the CEOs from the different companies. And I think it will be fun. So, Francesco, welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Thomas. Thanks for having me. Lovely introduction.
It's great. Yeah, but maybe you just introduce yourself again. Maybe I said something wrong. Are you the guy from Keep Productive?
You hit all the nails on the head. I'm Francesco. I'm from Keep Productive, and we cover apps and do plenty of reviews. It's, as we were talking before, it's keeping up with Thomas is a bit tough. So, but we both love this productivity app sector, and it's going to be good fun. Hopefully, the chat will be riveting as always. So
yeah, and I think we just dive into this. I mean, I've been following your channel obviously as well. You always have to sit close on your enemy, isn't it? But we just realized it's the more efficient way to become friends rather than being enemies, isn't it?
Yeah.
So can't wait to talk about this, and especially obviously people who follow us too know that we talk about Notion a lot, maybe in different ways. And you are really a Notion user, power user. You also published your own online course, as I saw, Notion for beginners. No, it was different. Notion Made Simple. Is that right?
That's perfect. Yeah.
That's perfect. Yeah. And that's actually something really important, because people who start using Notion, they're very fast overwhelmed, isn't it? I was an on and off user for Notion a long time because I wasn't sure how I really want to use it. So I ended up now having a proper knowledge management system inside Notion, just for the reason that I can easily connect databases with each other. So, for example, I have a people database and I connect this to their YouTube videos, for example, and then I can click through this. That's really nice. And but then now building a team, I also was into building project management and all this. And I'm a certified Asana Pro. Was implementing Asana in different teams and recently switched to ClickUp. And then one of my team members said, "Oh, we are using Notion for project management and task management." And, I had a look into this. I used some concepts I find on YouTube and all this. And I said, it's not for me to have some complex projects going on. Now I want to have your point of view when it comes to Notion. What do you think is a knowledge management, project management? What does it best? What does it not good? Let's do this.
Yeah. Notion's a bit of a tricky one, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's sort of like trying to be everything in every context. But yeah, I mean, I think for project management, I think if your team strongly utilizes wikis or documents, then I probably think it's a good place for a project management space. However, if your team doesn't, and they're more traditionally led, like you said, Asana and ClickUp, Monday, they're all much more suitable for the sort of regular, task orientated.
Yeah, regular. You said it already. There's no recurring task in Notion still.
Yeah,
so,
that's it.
I think that's the umbrella already.
It's tough because Notion isn't necessarily as advanced to say Coda, but it is for a lot of people what they need to get started. And there is that like initial learning curve as a team, because you've got to set up these workspaces, you've got to design how your team use it. But again, I would say the sort of learning for it compared to a traditional project manager is probably similar. especially in a team use, because you normally get that one advocate in the team who just
the nerd
sets it up. Yeah, the nerd. Yeah, us basically.
Yeah, us basically.
The
That's
us of a team.
Exactly. So we would be so efficient doing this together. No. I think it would be we would, equal 0 if we work together, because we both maybe want to do different direction, whatever.
Yeah, that's it.
So it's good to have an advocate and have somebody who thinks it should be done like this. But you really mentioned something important, what I also teach my clients and so on. Set up conventions, make your mind about workflows and where do you want to place your documents and all this. I absolutely agree with this. If you don't have this in place, it doesn't matter what tool you use, you will fail with whatever productivity system you try to set up there. Yeah, I agree with that. So you mentioned you mentioned Coda as well, and that's interesting. I also really like Coda, and maybe you prove me wrong here, but to my knowledge, Coda and Notion are the only, popular knowledge management systems where I can connect databases directly. So I was, for example, in Airtable and things like that, and you can make relations or roll-ups. But when it comes to mentioning other information, then Coda and Notion, I think, are the only ones allowing this.
Yeah, I think at the moment, although it's probably going to get proper messy in next year with that sort of market. Like
everybody wants to be everyone now.
Everyone wants a piece of that pie.
Yeah, exactly. Backlinks, the new magic word. I mean, yeah,
it is, and that's why I think in the next year, it's really. I think I mentioned it on Twitter the other day. I think it's a pivotal year for apps like Notion and Coda, because, like I would say, like from a personal perspective, obviously Evernote did well at the start. They plateaued and then they went sort of downhill. If obviously Notion has a different aspect to that, because Evernote never was good at team stuff.
Yeah,
Notion is good at the team stuff.
Yeah.
So they've got a little bit of an upper hand. So this year is going to be very interesting with the whole databases stuff. Because,
and do you think Rome Research triggered all this?
I'm not sure it did. I think it was pretty much inevitable, because I think like we're in this really weird space where if you're not in the machine learning or AI sort of bolt on to productivity apps in the next sort of 5 years, I think you're going to be sort of definitely stuck. Because like if you look at, say, applications like Notion, it's normally led on the fact that people input their information and nothing's coming back out at you necessarily. So we're at that sort of point where if they can not just set up automations, but set up automations that are smart, responsive, and interact with you, that's when they'll be able to continue their graph upwards. But if they don't, I think that potentially might be plateau time. And then that's where another competitor will come in and scoop up the money.
So you essentially just mentioned ClickUp here.
Yeah. But the thing is,
they want to be. I mean, they even make the advert all in one, or all the one app that rules them all, things like that. So, any thoughts on this? Yeah,
I just think that like there's no one at the moment that I would say that is doing this in terms of like AI and machine learning. So it's going to be really hard to see who it's going to be.
Yeah.
But if they can say, if Notion in the next year can acquire a company or build the ability to have smart suggestions, to be able to actually get stuff done for you in a sense, without you actually having to ask, that's where we'll be vital. It'll be brave of them because no one else is doing it. Nobody else is doing it. And people might not see the relevance of it now, but in, say, a couple of years, it's going to be so important.
Yeah, it's just a question of time. I mean, in the interviews I had with Nimbus Node and Ian Small from Evernote as well, we talked about this stuff already. And it seems, they're aware of this thing. But I also think they are not really sure about how to approach it properly. So it becomes mainstream. So it's really worth for the masses. And that's really an issue. And that's what I tweeted on Twitter was we should start leveraging the digital world instead of just living in it. And that's what we are used to, we got something like Evernote and we had finally a way to digitize our notes, and it was already awesome. And that's also when I say, I was the note-taking app guy, handwriting note-taking app guy on the iPad. But that's why I also want to talk about the end-to-end productivity system, because what do you then? You write down your notes into your handwriting note-taking app. It's disconnected from all the other apps. So either, that's my opinion, you live inside this note-taking app and do everything in there, that's fine. But as soon you start spreading, the information on different systems, I think you are doomed.
Yeah. Well explained.
Yeah.
I think the
bit rough on the edges, maybe.
yeah, that's it. Yeah. I think the whole issue with like an all-in-one system at the moment is the fact that even if you find an all-in-one system, you get ClickUp, you get Notion, you get Coda, and you can decide to invest in it or the place to do stuff. You're always going to have a compromise on one aspect of your productivity. It could be tasks, it could be projects, it could be notes, or it could be calendar. So at the moment, whilst I would say they can call themselves all-in-ones, I think it's all-in-ones minus your compromises. It's a bit like trying to fit into wellies that are is Wellington boots, like like Wellington boots that are size too small, and you're like, right, I can get it in, but bit bloody tricky.
And that brings me to the next point. I think you mentioned AI, which is certainly something important, but when it comes to these they do one thing well and another thing they don't do well, then I would rather think as an app company to open up the API, or actually create an API and allow other tools to complement my own tool. Isn't that an advantage? And that's a big miss, in my opinion, for Notion. And I'm really, looking forward about the API they want to bring out, how powerful it really will be.
Yeah.
So connecting Notion and ClickUp, for example, that would be the perfect match, because ClickUp is not that good when it comes to the knowledge management. There's no databases or anything. Also, they have a similar way you can create docs. It's not the same thing. However, they're really powerful when it comes to project management and getting views and all this. So that's the disconnection there.
Yeah, I can see, I definitely see from the tweets that Notion put out on replies, it does look like they'll be willing to connect with other applications like Todoist and ClickUp and things like that, because I think they naturally understand that everyone isn't going to be, sold on all of their features. My worry about the Notion API is that it's not as interesting or advanced as what Obsidian and Rome's API are being like at the moment. You've got some really interesting people building inside of Rome. You've got some really amazing plugins already in Obsidian, and that's only going to get crazier and more advanced. And I don't know whether it's too I don't know whether it's going to be too mainstream API like for example, I think like if Fitbit had an API connection with Notion, you could automatically get your steps into Notion. That would be awesome. But is that too sort of mainstream versus, say, Obsidian, which can build you a day planner in like some of the sort of APIs they got at the moment, which is incredible. But time will tell, and it'll be quite exciting,
Yeah, can't wait. maybe we want to go a bit more into what you actually personally use on a daily basis. So if people follow me or are part of my Inner Circle membership, they know I'm talking about the iCore framework that I created there. It's for input, control, output, refine. And now we want to get the apps you use into these different positions. So for input, for example, it's the note-taking part. So you actually take your notes or you scan documents. So what do you use for this, to take the notes actually? To input the information into your system?
It depends. If, for example, it's a document, I'll pop it in Evernote. Mm-hmm. But if it's a regular note, I'll probably go with Notion. Mm-hmm. For tasks, it goes inside of Todoist. Although at the moment I'm going through a bit of a change in my productivity system, a little bit of an experimentation. Which normally does not happen.
Yeah, it's always never change a running system. So it's always a tricky thing to do.
Last time I did it was 2 years ago, and the time before was 5 years ago. So I don't do it often. But so for Todoist, I'm moving temporarily over to Things 3 to give a little bit of experiment with it.
So you have only an Apple ecosystem?
Yeah, primarily it's Apple, yeah. I think cross-platform is important, but at the same time.
Only if you need to work cross-platform.
Yeah, I never really touch a Windows, so so in a good way.
yeah. That's absolutely, good to do. If you can even be more efficient when you're in one ecosystem, why not using the tools that work best with this ecosystem? So and Things 3 is really a great tool when it comes to the Apple ecosystem. You can access it from anywhere if you like. But I'm working on Windows as well, so that's no option for me. And it stops there because I hate it when I need to, write down the input for the task. And I can't, I have to get to my iPhone or whatever while I'm just sitting on Windows, things like that. So it really has to be seamlessly there. So that's interesting. So you mentioned that you take notes inside Notion, and that's something I'm hard to do now. I mean, how do you have? Do you have a notes database where you collect all these notes, like daily notes or something like that, or just random pages all over the place?
Yeah, that's a good point. I
nailed it.
Yeah. Well, the thing you have to sort of know about me is that although I run a productivity apps channel, I am like the most basic user anyone could really imagine. And I think over time, I always try and be more basic and more basic. So with Notion, I don't really have any advanced setups. If I need to make a note, I'll just add it as a new note and start typing away, really. But if it's, say, something that I'll need for the long term, I'll probably keep it in Evernote, if I'm honest. So, like, just to compare it, British gas bill, that's Evernote.
It's same for me. I mean, Evernote is for me, I call it the document dump.
Yeah, there you go. It's just that. Like, it's
the search is strong enough that you find the stuff once you need it. I mean, even the structure wise, I don't have a really straight structure inside Evernote. I just trust the search engine that I find the invoice once I need it at some point. Yeah.
It used to be a really special place where I would I remember writing my wedding speech and things like that, But now it's like, I wouldn't even touch it with a barge pole for that, Yeah. Not that, there's nothing wrong with it if people want to use it, but, like that. But yeah, Notion is it's very simplistic. So I just take some journal notes, some brief notes, some sort of routine workshop notes. So it's not really anything special, if I'm honest.
Yeah, and that's nothing, that's nothing bad. I overcomplicate things. That's what I tend to make it too complex because I really want to have everything to connect it. And it really annoys me when I always hit the ceiling when I when it comes to tools. I always come to a place where I go to Twitter and write them, why doesn't this work? To me, it's so obvious, but it must be such a power feature, a power user feature. It's not the masses. Like Ian Small mentioned that only 2% using tags inside Evernote. I was surprised about this as well. I mean, for me, it's so obvious using tags and try to connect the information. But when it comes to general note taking, I always suggest take the notes where they belong to. So if I have a task, that's the reason why I have no dedicated note taking app. I take the notes where they belong to. So each note has a purpose. I go to the task when I'm in a meeting. We open up the task and we take down comments or whatever about the stuff we just talked about. And I'm using Roam Research for meeting notes, for general meeting notes, for random stuff. Because this is really interesting over time. Then you see, everybody tells you this. You have to use Roam Research for a while until you see the power behind that. And that's actually happening right now. Yeah. Now there's so much information in there. As soon as somebody asks me something, I find it. And I see everything related to this. We talked about this last week and things like that. And I already see the first reactions. How could you know that? Yeah. And I keep telling people, I mean, all these things. In the big companies, I see this all the time. We have meetings and there's one dedicated person writing notes and they send it out as meeting notes per email. Okay, nobody reads this email. It goes away, and 2 weeks later, you have another meeting talking about the same thing again, and that's really something I try to. So simplistic is perfect. Talking about simplistic, isn't there still a channel called Simplicity? Is it Simplicity? YouTube channel called Simplicity? I think you were on this channel as well, isn't it? In the beginning.
Simpletivity.
Oh, Simpletivity. Sorry.
Is that the one? Yeah.
Yeah, that's the
Scott's
one.
channel. Yeah.
Yeah. So did you start on this channel before you started your own, or was it just a collaboration when you were there?
No, probably just a collaboration. Yeah, the channel's run by Scott Friesen. Yeah, he's a smashing. Yeah, he covers it brilliantly.
That's great. So I just had the feeling that you were working on this channel as well, and then you made your own channel more. So there was a misconception.
All credit to Scott.
All right, great. So we covered input. So how about knowledge management? I think we covered this as well. Or how do you find the information once you need it?
Again, I'm just really lazy. Like I just hit search and in Evernote I'll find stuff, and in the likes of Notion I'll do the same. But to be honest, like I don't ever really search for anything unless I need it. So normally that's probably a part of the process that I don't have is a reflection process with certain notes. Like normally what I do, and this is probably something I probably need to improve on, but if I learn something, I'll try and apply it within the next sort of 48 hours. And then at least I've got the ball rolling and I'm actually sort of, I guess, implementing it. But I don't know. I don't really have
that's also a good thing to do. I mean, this tells just that you have no need to search for information. You know, there's no demand that you have to keep track of complex information, which makes sense in your position as you're going from tool to tool, for example, reviewing it and so on. That's what you are focusing on, and that's what we are working, right? And then you take your learnings with you, and then it's done. So there's no need. So
So I'm like making this section boring because
that's
really
actually good
much,
because I think a lot of people have the feeling they need to have some crazy systems in place to be actually productive. And they're actually hindering themselves by setting up these systems. Everybody's recommending, you have to connect this and this and this. And I keep telling them, what do you need to actually do in the end? You know, what's your goal? What's your daily business? And that's what I also say. It's absolutely fine using Notion as an end-to-end product inside the ICOR framework, for example, if you don't have complex tasks, I mean, if you have some task, like 2-3 tasks you do every day, certainly you can unclick the checkboxes and click them again or something like that. That's perfectly working. Why should you use something like ClickUp? Yeah, just because everybody is hyping about this, it makes no sense as an individual. Once you build up a team, maybe things changes, but again, if you have one product and you have one straight work instruction, Notion might work as well. So it really depends on the personal needs. So that's perfectly fine. Then we go to the output, so which is the productivity. And I have to say here, the thing that makes you, that certifies you to be a productivity expert is that you are pumping out these videos on YouTube all the time. I mean, in a really high quality. And this impresses me really. And I just learned that you, until recently, did all this on your own. I mean, this is really impressive. And you really need to have your things together from YouTuber to YouTuber to get this consistent publications going on. So congrats for that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I mean, I think it definitely, like, the whole burnout thing it was important for me not to hit, because I've been doing it for about 5 years now. So I didn't want to burn out really that much over the time period. So, and now I try to switch off earlier and take Fridays off if I can, to go on a walk. Walk all day, but just enjoy it. And I would say I'm a lot. If I'd look at myself 3 years ago to now, I work-life balance is so much better. And it's so nice to be able to switch off at the weekends and just enjoy the other aspects of life. So yeah, I love that.
And it's so important that you mentioned this. I saw it many times, people burned out, and I was close to this as well. And it's really important to press the stop button when it's still time for this, and think long term. Yeah. So we really have to sustain this, isn't it? Yeah. So good. You mentioned this, but you mentioned that you're using Todoist. So I use Todoist as well. I love it, and it's just my checklist for every day. I know that's what I need to do every day. How do you use Todoist? Things 3, isn't it?
Things 3, thing is, I won't really talk about things too much because it's only been about 2 weeks I've been using it. But yeah, Todoist is really just capture location. And I think it's Gabrielle Brazil, who does a YouTube channel as well, Productivity, who does explain it really fantastically. Todoist is your assistant. To then obviously organize your day. So I sort of keep that same methodology, and I am with things now, is that, like, that just sorts out what I'm doing. And I try to just plan 7 days of actionable tasks and keep it pretty simple. But the way that I sort of organize as well is I have a weekly review every sort of Thursday. But apart from that, I think for the space I'm in and where we're in, is you have to sort of keep pretty nimble in being able to keep updated with apps. So I don't really plan videos more than past 2 weeks, because it could change very fast.
Exactly.
So it's a bit like I try and plan my sort of day as if I was a journalist. It sounds a bit weird, but it's the same sort of methodology. Try not to work journalist hours, but try in that mindset to do that.
Yeah, that is reflected on your channel. I mean, you push out these updates for new tools and so on very close to their release date. And I try this as well, but I realized I have to get a team and batch record, like these interviews and things like that. So I want to be consistent. That was my first goal, to become really consistent on YouTube, to publish to the same dates. And I do this now for more than a month, Wednesday and Sunday for these interviews. And this frees up a lot of time and breathing room to now think about what to do next. And when Evernote 10 hit, I certainly had to talk about this as well. And that's really fun, yeah, when you have this time and, you know, you can talk about this and very impressive how you push this out there. Thank you very much. So we come to the refine part in the iCore framework, and refine means for workflow optimization and automation. Anything you automate in your system. Let's stay maybe with Todoist, and what I'd use is a two-way connection to my calendar, because I always say a task list is infinite and a calendar is finite, so they need to be connected so I can plan out better. And this is, for example, an automation going on there.
Okay. No,
automations.
pretty much no automations. No, that's the thing that I've always been really like, I just haven't needed. Like, I tried Zapier, I tried obviously like things like shortcuts, but I just never found that I was doing it well enough.
So you never came to a friction point where you thought, I have to do this all over again, like recurring tasks, or something like that you thought, if somebody else could do this for me, that would be great.
Yeah. Apart from, say, like recurring tasks like do the bins on Thursday, like, that's like, so that's pretty much it.
Try to get Siri to make the bins.
Yeah, she needs to do some work, you know. But yeah, I wouldn't say I actually have any. The thing that no, I don't have any.
That's totally fine. So obviously my following sees that all this that I'm telling about is not really needed if you have the right purpose for this. I mean, you said already that you live the journalist way, and you're more in a reactive mode when it comes to new releases of tools. You really have to be focused when it comes out, and then you have your workflow in mind. That you have to, you will record this, you will do your video editing. I mean, how many videos do you have on your channel now? It is thousands, isn't it?
Closing in on 1,000, but not, only.
See, so there's quite a routine going on. And as I said, I'm fascinated that you did all these videos. But you also mentioned that you're getting help now. So now it comes to explaining this person how you do it, isn't it? Or would you're open that things change and this person can bring in his own stuff or methods?
It's a good point. So the editor is called Steve.
Hi, Steve.
Hi, Steve. Yeah. It's weird because we worked, I've known him since I was about 5 years old.
Oh, awesome.
So he's basically, we did editing in school together. We did like this horror movie that was very funny and very good at the same time. But we love working together, and it's amazing now that I can actually work with him. So with him at the moment now, the way that I'm viewing it is not stopping my consistency, but just allowing him to come in and just times it by 2, hopefully. He's starting to get pretty routine videos out. So maybe 1 to 2 a day, hoping to sort of keep it up like that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, believe me, as I was doing all my videos on my own as well for a long time, we love our videos. There's so much blood and sweat in these videos, isn't it? So if somebody else is doing this, we have to get used to this, to the 80% rule, as I say. But the time we free up by this and the focus we have on different things, that's incredible. It's been incredible for me, and I'm sure it will be for you as well. Yeah, good. So this means you will have more time to talk more to me in the future.
Yeah, I mean, I hopefully, yeah.
So I think this would be awesome if we talk again, and people certainly should, comment below if they want to see more.
Yeah.
So we went through the iCore. Any personal notes on the whole productivity space? I mean, you mentioned already AI and the future is coming. I also think 2021 will be crazy, and the COVID thing really accelerates everything because we are so forced to all this to get used to the systems. It's really, a big time coming there. Any final thoughts there?
I'd say there's two extra ones. So sometimes what helps me with productivity is I tend to look at like Becca, my wife, and I just sometimes go, yeah, she doesn't use any to-do list app. She doesn't have a note taker. She doesn't have a calendar. Well, she has a calendar, to be fair. But I'm like, right, okay, she's on, she's able to remember everything.
Yeah,
and
it's unbelievable.
All the time. And I'm like, wow, like, Jesus, I have all these apps. So I suddenly eventually, like, I reckon I'll just probably stop using apps in total and go back to my brain.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
I don't know.
It's so funny. So it seems we have the same wife. Well, hopefully not.
Yeah.
Something might be wrong then.
She's out of the house now, is she?
But it's the same here. I mean, she has a work calendar, or how you say it in English, and that's where she notes down what she needs to do each day, and that's it. And she keeps everything, and she keeps reminding me of things.
Yeah,
also, I should know that. And I say, well, it's if you don't add it to the Google Calendar, I don't know.
Yeah.
So that's really an interesting thing, and we have a big paper book library upstairs, and that's why I say, people tell me, so you hate paper, and I always keep saying, no, I love paper actually. What I hate is waste of paper. So printing off emails and annotating them or something like that. Yeah, that's interesting. So you said you have two things to say?
Oh, yeah. Eventually, probably in 10 years' time, the productivity sector will be nothing. Like, I don't want to put it down
Back to
on
the Stone Age.
Yeah.
Or Mad Max,
Yeah, true. I think it's only going to last another 10 years because, like, I reckon just Apple will just come out with something that does everything for you. And
that might
90% of people use it. And the other 10% like us will just be like those old sort of like folks. Nerds. And we'll be like, they'll be proper nerds, like going, I remember, doing all my stuff. I still do all my stuff. And it'll be like, well, so I reckon, don't get too worried about anything. That's what my rule is,
That's true. That's go with the flow. And the big issue everybody has, I think, is the next shiny object syndrome. That, when I look at Notion and all this, they're pushing out updates. It's crazy now as well. So we really have to stick to one tool and go with it for a while and then really wait for it. But you really said it there. Maybe Apple comes up with something that works, and that's an important point you said, because also why Notion might be a project manager for so many teams, so many people using it personally anyway. So they're already in this ecosystem. It's the same, for example, for the Inner Circle. I have a forum that I host at my own, and I have a Facebook group, and I have the feeling people are more engaged in a Facebook group because they're on Facebook anyway. I lose a few people who are not on Facebook, yes, but the engagement is so much higher in this case. On the other hand, the forum still is alive, will stay alive, because we can talk in more detail about things there, I think. So, Francesco, it was awesome having you on the show. We should certainly think about, have some other collaboration going on. That's what we will talk now. So
that's it. We'll have a little bit of 5-minute chat.
Exactly.
So thanks for having me on, Thomas. Legendary.
Awesome. Good Brilliant to have you on the show. And if you want to stay tuned what's coming up, make sure to subscribe to this channel or the podcast, and I'll catch you up next time.